Welcome to the channel, guys. As you can see behind me, the truck, the dipped truck. If you don't already know, I Plasti Dipped the truck. And today I'm gonna show you, I have a scrap piece of metal over there. But basically today I'm gonna show you what you can and can't do with Plasti Dip and how it works if those of you who are not familiar with it or whatever. We're gonna just do I'm just gonna do some testing with it, really. I'm not gonna get out any of the paint that I use for this or my spray gun or any of that, because it's just kind of like a small little thing that I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna run and get some paint or whatever. And while I'm driving to go get paint, I'm gonna talk about why I chose Plasti Dip versus like a vinyl wrap or something along those lines. So we'll get right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Be sure to subscribe and like. Let's go. Basically, the biggest reason why I did Plasti Dip versus a conventional vinyl wrap or like 3M wrap or whatever, basically the biggest problem would be, or the biggest reason I guess you would say, is price difference. I mean, if you want to go with a really expensive wrap, you can get very really high numbers as far as spending a lot of money to do wrap. My camera's moving all over the place. Anyway, so basically I did the truck for, I would say, the cost of paint was probably like $250. Now that didn't include the materials as far as like the pre-dip spray or tape and drape, like stuff like that, or the many rolls of tape that I went through. So that didn't include any of that. So you can figure probably $300 maybe. So probably a little more than $300, but either way. So I did that. So the truck was basically Plasti Dip for $300, maybe a little over $300, until I bought the sprayer. So it's probably well over $300, but probably not $400. So if you were to go with a vinyl wrap, a good vinyl wrap, I don't mean like real cheap stuff. Like, I mean, I don't want to say there's cheap vinyl, but at the same time there is. I mean, I've seen stuff in well over $400 that wouldn't even cover your entire vehicle. So it all varies on what you're gonna get and what you're gonna do. So keeping in mind that, let's just say I did this truck for $400 basically, or $350, whatever you want to say, that's still cheaper than some vinyl wraps. And at the same time, I probably would have attempted to do vinyl wrapping by myself. I probably wouldn't have taken it somewhere. So with that being said, I don't have the time and the money and labor. And that's with everything. That's with everything basically on the truck, minus getting the tires mounted on the new wheels. That I didn't do. But as far as getting like the lift on the truck and painting certain things and the tuner and the intake, I mean, all that stuff, and the body lift, I mean, all that stuff I practically did myself. So I have, and that'll be another video, basically how much money I have in the truck total. But it's definitely a lot lower than what it would be if you were to take it somewhere and get all that work done. You'd have a lot more money in labor and all that stuff. So basically, I did it for nothing because it was my time. I didn't pay for labor and everything. So that's off topic, but anyway, so you have the cost involved in it. Now, the preparation for Plasti Dip versus wrap, they're different by a lot, I guess you could say, and the whole procedure is different, obviously. I mean, with Plasti Dipping and everything, you have to mask everything off that you don't want to get paint on. You have to tape everything off, and it's really time consuming. It really is. And as far as wrap, you don't really have to tape anything. You put the wrap on there, cut it to wherever you need it to go, and heat it and do all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna say that I won't try wrap eventually, to be honest, because I'm curious about it. I really am. It'd be interesting to see how it would work and stuff like that. But as far as where I'm at now, you can peel both of them off. But I think the biggest reason for me, as far as why I went with Plasti Plasti Dip is, yeah, you can peel it off. Wow, that bike is moving. Anyway, you can peel it off, but the same thing with vinyl wrap, yeah, you can peel it off, but at the end of the day, when you go to peel whichever one off, Plasti Dip doesn't leave any residue, like as far as adhesive or any of that. And that's the biggest thing I think that concerned me with vinyl wrapping. How much adhesive is going to be left behind? Will it peel off cleanly? And I guess, I mean, I really didn't look too much into it, but that was just playing a big factor in why I chose Plasti Dip. So, like I said, without me really trying it, I guess I wouldn't really know, but I just feel like, because it does have adhesive on it and stick, and with the sun being on it for a prolonged period of time, and I could be wrong, but I just feel like it would leave residue. I feel like it would leave the adhesive residue, and it would be a huge mess to have to clean up afterwards when you go to peel it off and all that stuff. And with the little bit of carbon fiber work that I've done, I'm pretty sure when I've peeled some of that stuff off before, it leaves little spots of adhesive if you don't pull it right or anything like that. So that's kind of one of the biggest things, I guess you could say, with the vinyl wrap. And like I said, I think someday I will try it. I'll give it a shot and see what happens with it and see how it turns out, and see if I like it better than Plasti Dip. But it's just, I feel like they're kind of the same as far as not necessarily prep time, but overall completion time. Because if you think about it, yeah, you can spray Plasti Dip over the whole vehicle, and it's a lot quicker than like putting vinyl wrap on and cutting it and making sure it's even and everything like that. But at the same time, with Plasti Dip, before you can even start spraying, you have to pre-dip the whole vehicle, and you have to be very thorough with it, and you have to mask everything and cover the windows, all that stuff. So at the end of the day, really, Plasti Dip and vinyl wrap are probably pretty close in time-wise, as long as it takes to complete it overall. And vinyl might even be a little quicker, just depending how good you are at it and how quickly you can get it done. Because you're not going to have to tape anything, and you're not going to really, I mean, you got to have the surface clean, obviously, but you're not going to have to like pre-dip the vehicle or anything like that, or mask the windows or any of that stuff. So when you're done with Plasti Dip, you obviously got to pull all that stuff off. And then you run into the problems of peeling when wet. You got to make sure, like when I did Colby's Mustang, we had to peel the stripes. When we did the stripes, you had to make sure you peeled that when it was wet, so you could get that nice, clean, crisp edge and crisp line. So that was kind of a sketchy anxiety moment, but we got it done, and the lines were straight and everything. But that's just another thing you wouldn't have to do with vinyl wrap. So that's basically where I'm at with that. And like I said, I'll probably do vinyl wrap sometime in the future, just to try it and just to see how it is, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we got our junk piece of metal panel there, and I just went and picked up a can of Plasti Dip, just flat black. You can get flat black, or you can get a white if you go to like an auto parts store or Walmart. I went to Walmart. And so we're gonna prep that piece. Obviously you can see it needs clean, and we're gonna tape up squares on it. I'm gonna tape up like just like a checkered flag, kind of checkered board type design on it. That way I can do some testing on it. So as you can see, we got the panel all taped up, and the tape really doesn't want to stick on here very well. So we'll see how well the Plasti Dip adheres to it. So anyway, got all these panels. I probably won't use all these, but either way, just in case. So I'm going to paint all those panels. I'm going to put about 5 to 6 coats of the Plasti Dip on there. That way it's easily peelable later. And what you want to do when you're spraying this stuff is you want to do 50% overlap. So like if that's your spray pattern, then you want to overlap it by 50%. So like let's just say you're starting at the edge of the tape and you're coming down to there, then you want to come down to there, overlap your first pass, and so on. So put on 5 or 6 coats on there, and then I'll do some experimenting with some other stuff. There's the first coat's complete. It's gonna look kind of like, you can see the lines and everything until you start spraying on your heavier coats. But there's coat 1, and we're gonna do that 5 more times. I'm gonna put a minimum of 6 coats on. That way we have good peelable Plasti Dip when we go to peel it off. So I got about 5 coats on here of all the squares. And like I said, I might not use every single square here, but this is the stuff that I'm gonna do. I've been asked if you could paint over Plasti Dip, just any like regular spray paint or whatever. In my case, I'm going to be using spray paint, and I'm sure there's other people out there who did it, but I'm gonna do it for myself. So basically I just have a 2x ultra coverage, just regular gloss red spray paint. Then I have a crystal clear enamel, just a clear coat, and then undercoating, like a rubberized rubber coating, and then truck bed, both by Rust-Oleum. Actually, all this stuff's by Rust-Oleum. And then we have a primer. So we're gonna do a bunch of different things here. I'm gonna prime. I'm gonna leave some of the squares, and maybe I will use all of them, I'm not sure, but I wanna do primer, then paint, and then a clear, and then I wanna just do one with primer, and then I wanna do one just with paint, and we'll do a bunch of different things, and we'll leave 1 or 2 of the squares just the regular Plasti Dip and see how well it peels off, if it peels off, with all this other stuff here. So we'll get all that stuff painted on there, do some different things, experiment a little bit, and maybe it'll peel off, maybe it won't. So basically, I'll go over what I did here. This is just primer, this is nothing. Primer, this is the bed liner, this is the rubberized undercoating. That is just the red paint with nothing under it or anything. This green right here has primer underneath it, so it's Plasti Dip primer, the green. This is just clear coat. And this one here has primer, the blue paint, and then a clear coat over it. And then here we did some more of the bed liner with a clear coat. Actually, that was actually primer, bed liner, and then clear coat. And then all the other squares that you see, I left alone, so we can test it. And we got to give it a little bit more time to dry, and I'm going to peel the tape and everything off. But this is actually red with clear over it, I believe. So yeah, I'm gonna do one more. I'll probably do another red spot back there and just do red. I won't clear it since I did clear that. We'll let that one alone. But I will do just a red back there with nothing else on it. No primer, no clear, nothing, just the regular spray paint. And now keep in mind, I didn't do a whole bunch of coats or anything. I only did 1 coat, but I just made it heavy so it had some good coverage. So we'll get that red back there, let everything dry, peel the tape off, and see what happens, see how well the stuff peels. So everything's pretty much dry here. We're gonna start out with just doing a regular piece. And basically you just gotta try and get the edge worked back or rolled back, which is kind of hard on the way I have it sprayed here and the way the metal is. So now that we got it started here, it probably could have used like maybe 1 or 2 more coats on here, which wouldn't have been a bad thing for this. And this is just the dip itself. And you can just kind of see how it stretches. And even though it is kind of a thin coat and everything, it's still pulling off relatively easy. You just get under it the best you can and try and pull it off. I mean, I'm working it pretty quick there. I mean, it's ripping a little bit because of how fast I'm trying to pull it up and everything. And like I said, it could have had another 1 or 2 coats, to be honest. But you're getting the idea. It's still peeling off relatively easy, even though it was a little bit thin on the coatings. And this stuff was actually really hot when I was just trying to start it there. So there's basically one panel. Now let's move on to the panel with just the primer. And again, gonna have to really try and get under there with it. So the way this seems right away is it really doesn't want to peel off for me. It's really hard for me to get it started. Let's try and get a knife under there. It just seems like it really adhered differently and changed the way the Plasti Dip is and its peelability or whatever. So I mean, it's so hard for me to even get it started and tear it off on top of it. I would say a primer is probably a no-go. Now maybe if you put on more than one, like, I shouldn't say more than one coat, but more coats than I did with the Plasti Dip, then maybe it would have worked better and you could have peeled it off. But the way it is now, it's so hard to get it off that it's so hard for me to get it started. Now, you can get it off. So maybe if like you really try and work it with your thumb, it does come off, but you're gonna really fight with it to try and get it off. So with my experience right now, like I said, maybe if you had more coats of Plasti Dip on, it would work. I would not use primer just because of how this is working right now. So that's a definite no at this point for me. I mean, even just when it even starts, it just makes the Plasti Dip too, I don't even know what the word is, like it has too thick of a layer on top of it, so then it just tears and it doesn't actually come off. So let's move on to the bed liner here, which I feel like is going to do the same exact thing. Try and get it started here. I'm not really sure who would want a Plasti Dip and then bed line their vehicle, but I know some people do bed line their vehicles. And this is kind of seeming like it's the same. So I tried to get the green off, which I believe has clear on it as well. I don't remember what I did, but this I know has clear on it, and I can't really get that off either. It just basically, I mean, it comes off, but it takes so much effort to get it off. Same with the green, couldn't really get that off. The bed liner, same with that, it just doesn't really want to peel off. The rubberized coating here seems a little bit more pliable, obviously because Plasti Dip's kind of like a rubber compound, and so is the rubberized bed or undercoating or whatever. Green, like I said, I mean, you can roll it off and get it kind of to peel back that way, but it doesn't, like even when I try and get a hold of it, it just rips in small things. And here's another piece that doesn't have anything on it, and as you can see, I can get under that and pull that very well. So I don't really think our testing really needs to go any further from here, just because I don't think you're really going to be able to peel it off. And like I said, maybe if you had a lot more coats and you did it differently, a lot more coats of Plasti Dip, more than you would normally put on, stuff like that, then maybe it would work a little better. Maybe the spray paint won't react or do something weird with it. So, and I think this back here is just with paint, which that actually seems to roll back fairly easy. So we can actually get under that one. So I definitely, I don't know, this is still kind of hard to get under it. It does start to peel up a little better, but it does end up tearing. So it's just, if me personally, I don't think I would paint over Plasti Dip, especially with the broad range of like different colors you can get with Plasti Dip. It's kind of pointless for you to want to use some other color or want to spray paint something. I mean, if you're going to go to that extent and you want to paint something on your vehicle or whatever, just use Plasti Dip if you want to be able to take it off. And if you want to do something for design, most of the time, like, they're doing all kinds of different stuff as far as camo and stuff like that. So just do that. I mean, because the way this stuff seems is it's not going to come off. I mean, it'll come off, but not as easy as I would think it should, like compared to the regular Plasti Dip. I mean, even the paint peels off. Regular spray paint with no primer, no clear, nothing, it does peel off, but it's in very small pieces and it just tears. So it's not like the regular Plasti Dip that you can grab and just lift the whole thing and peel it off. Like, obviously this stuff, like I said, it could have been a little bit thicker, but even so, it's still enough to do the testing. So before I end the video here, this is the panel that I used to paint my interior pieces. And this has a lot thicker of a coat because I used the gallons and I used the spray gun. So what I did here is a spot here that's really thick. I only sprayed about a quarter of it to maybe half of it in the red spray paint, and then I left the other part alone. And I just want to see what's going to happen with it. Like, so there I got an edge started. So we'll peel this all the way back. And as you can see, this peels very easy. So let's see what happens when I get to the spray paint part of it. It seems actually to be peeling pretty well. It seems a little bit tougher to peel off. And so yeah, there we have it off. So I guess actually it probably wouldn't be a fail. I guess it would actually work. The biggest thing I would say, I mean, that's pretty thick. So the biggest thing I would say is yes, you could do it, even though I just said you couldn't. I guess yes, the answer is yes, you could. But I would definitely make sure that you have a very thick, good coat of your base or whatever you're going to be doing, because you don't want it to do anything, and you definitely want to let it dry. Like this blue's been on here for days, if not going closer to a week now. So this definitely had time to set up and everything, and this isn't a whole lot of spray paint on it either, but either way it does peel off. Now, like I said, when I got to the spray paint, it did seem like it was peeling a little bit harder. It was a little harder to pull, but other than that, I mean, it did peel off. So I'd say it would be okay as long as you have your coats and everything correct and they're thick enough. Then I don't see a reason why you couldn't. I still probably wouldn't do it, that's just me, because if for some reason you don't have enough Plasti Dip somewhere and then you spray paint over it and then it doesn't want to come off, then you're fighting with it. And if you get spray paint elsewhere where you don't want it, it's a lot harder to get off once again. So, but yeah, I guess it is possible to do it. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, comment on the video, and be sure to subscribe and check out some of the other videos. Hope you have a great day.